thousands and thousands of lives. And so I cannot wait for him to jump on here and just really be able to dive in, pour into us, and really be able to share just what he has to say about the three areas we get caught up in and all the good things that he has going on. So perfect. I see him there. Tim Storey. So drop below, you guys, where you guys are tuning in from. This is going to be an absolute treat on the Influence and Conversion series. All right. Hey, Tim, how are you?
I'm here and part of my head's cut off.
Part of your head's cut. I know. I have to adjust my camera every time. I wish there was like a set. This is where I got to be here. But Tim, it's so great to see you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing super good. I went for my early morning walk. You'd be proud of me. Are you a walker or are you like a jogger?
You know, I'm not that old, but I'm old enough to where my joints are like, I'm in my like 60s or 70s being a collegiate athlete. So cardio is low impact for me, but I'm more of like, let's get in the gym and lift some weights, but exercise regardless, good.
Yes. So I have a gym in my house because of COVID, when COVID hit, right? And then I'm like a run walker. I do both. It's a hybrid. So
hey, as long as you, whatever your body can take and get in there. If my body said, hey, we're good to run without me pumping glucosamine into it for like 3 months in advance before I go out to run, I'd go hit the beach and go running. Like that is my joy right there.
But the reason I brought that up, because you said, how you doing? So no, I feel great. Find that every time when I wake up early and I get out and just breathe, and you're just out in like these nice parks around my house, it just makes things better in your mindset.
Yeah, the fresh air is definitely a good add to the day. And Tim, I am so excited to be diving in. I know you have so many things going on, so it's such a treat, and I feel so honored to be on here with you today. And I would love to just, jump in. For the ones that don't know you necessarily, who is Tim Storey and what are you about these days?
So I think that what I am, number one, is a humanitarian. So I went to seminary, and then I ended up getting a doctorate in world religion. But I was very influenced by the life of Mother Teresa. Do you remember her?
Mm-hmm.
And she helped orphans. And so that's a strange thing, because I was in high school and I was a good athlete. And a friend of mine, a female, was reading this book about Mother Teresa. And I read it and got really touched. I'm like, I want to help people. So went to school, started studying, but created a curriculum when I was only 19 years of age and started going to inner city schools, like educating, tutoring, mentoring, building kids up. And then the rest is history. I've been to like 75 countries of the world, speaking in small settings and very large settings. And yeah, that's what gave me my initial platform.
Wow. I mean, and it really just comes down to your heart for service. I mean, you are quite literally the definition of a servant leader and just wanting to just empower and enrich other people's lives. And you still do that today.
Yeah, I mean, truly, like when I was a kid, I always loved the underdog. And I remember one time there was this kid, we were doing this long race, and I saw this one kid named Freddie, and this was only like in 7th grade. And he was stopped, and we lapped him, and I just stopped and I said, Freddie, are you okay? And he said, no, I'm having an asthma attack. And so I remember like taking him to the PE teacher and making sure we found his inhaler, and just like staying with this kid that I really didn't know that well and then walking him through his asthma attack. And so I've always been touched by like the hurting, or like people that have gone through something like a setback. And so I think sometimes your calling calls you. So I've always, since I was a kid.
Yeah, that is that's a story right there. It's like, how many times have we walked by a kid just like that, or somebody like that, where they're having problems, but we're so busy going in our own direction, but that we're not taking time to be like, who really needs us around us, because we're so busy doing our own thing. And so I've always admired that about you, of like, when you said the underdog, I'm the same way. That's how I got started in my career. When I was a news anchor and reporter, I said, hey, you know what? I want to give the underdog a voice. And then I said, the news doesn't really like to do that, and I don't really want to waste my time there anymore. So I found other avenues, and I totally resonate with that, because everybody has a voice, and they need a voice, they need help, but there's only select few that'll really stop to really be able to give them that hand up. And so one thing that I do want to really touch on as well is, and it kind of flows into this a little bit, is, you know, the three areas people get caught up in. Something that you're really, you know, prominent in talking about: the messiness, the mundane, and I believe the madness is the third one, which can get, again, people caught up in the direction that they need to go. I'd love for you to expand on that.
So, and thanks for remembering those three M's. I think that, you know, like when we're little kids, we have a miracle mentality. If we were to go to an inner city in Los Angeles today and speak, and you were to say to the 5, 6, 7-year-olds, what do you want to be when you get older? They're going to say things like an athlete, the president. It's all something lofty, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's never like, I'm going to be bankrupt.
Right.
So we think magical thoughts when we're little, but somehow we get minimized. And the more I begin to study this, starting about 15 years ago, it could be from your parents, the way they see things, like maybe you were raised in like a low ceiling. Sometimes it's through tutors, mentors, coaches that can minimize you. But, you know, I think that you were made, everybody's watching, to live different, better, and more magical. That your life was never supposed to be just in the mundane, the messy, or the madness. And as I've been life coaching people for so long, you know, I started in Beverly Hills life coaching people since 1990, predominantly entertainers. And I found that so many of those people, that even though they had a lot of mess too. So they had a lot of good stuff, but a lot of mess. And that mess turned to madness. And when the mess and the madness is there, it's hard to really understand how magical your life is or can be. That's what I'm good at, is helping people get out of just a mundane, messy, or life of madness and let their life become more magical.
And I have to ask, because you've been in this line of work for, you know, a number of years, how has social media been a blessing or maybe a little bit of a curse? Like, how has that played a factor into those three M's there, the mundane, messy, and madness? Because obviously there's two sides that people look at it as. Like, it's great, or, you know, it could be a little even messier.
I think I think it depends on the person and how they consume. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's say if you decide to subscribe to Netflix, which most people have done, if they consume it in a healthy way and only watch it so much, then you're good. But if you just are nonstop consuming it and not taking care of your life, it's not so great. I think same thing with social media. I think social media for me has been phenomenal, because I mean, never have we been able to do this kind of thing and see people say greetings from San Francisco, magical, needed to hear this. So this is like great stuff, right? So I think it's all in the way you deal with it and steward it. So I like to steward social media in a way that's healthy, and it's working well for me. And so I think people can learn from that.
Beautiful. And I love asking people that question specifically because I hear all the time, oh, it's negative, it's this and that. I'm like, honestly, my answer is like yours. I love it. And when you steward it well, you're going to produce fruit from it. You're going to make great connections, meet great people, and really enjoy life. And like you said, it connects you so much further than we've ever been connected before, because it's global, right? So I love that you said that. And I hope whoever's listening really takes heed of that. It is what you make it. It is what who you follow and what you consume and how often you consume it. So I'm like, I have to ask him this because I had a feeling you were going to say what you said, just to be able to kind of prove those other people that it is used for good. Now, I would love to be able to shift to the miracle mentality part. So like you said, when we were kids, we thought about, I want to be a singer, an astronaut, a lawyer, the president, all of that. For us that are now in adulthood, how do we get that miracle mentality back?
Okay, so I think it's three ways. Number one is education. Secondly is observation. Thirdly is what we're doing here, conversation. So the education is like, for me to read the book about Mother Teresa was me educating myself about a lady that had a miracle mentality to help these orphans. Little did she know that it had become a movement that has gone all over the globe, and she's helped now literally millions of orphans. Think about that. With
Wow.
one lady. So I'm really into this idea of education. And this is what you're doing on your platform is you are educating people that there is, and one of the ideas of education is not just to put something in somebody, but to draw something out. So when you educate, you're not just putting something in, but you're also drawing something out. And I think that you're a master at that. You know how to draw something out of people. So number one is education. Second is observation in what you see. And so when I was a kid, there was a black actor named Billy D. Williams who stayed around for a long time. He was even in the Star Wars. But when I saw him, he was in a movie called Mahogany with a lady named Diana Ross. So Billy D. Williams was so smooth. Man, that black boy was clean. His hair, everything was smooth about Billy D. Williams. And I was only like 8. And I saw how he opened up the door for the woman. And at 8, I was thinking, one day I'm going to open a door. I promise you. And the way he walked and the way he dressed, and he had this cool scarf. So one day I'm going to get a cool scarf. I was 8 years of age. So that is an observation of something that I wasn't living, because we were back then. I wasn't living it, but I saw it and I said, that's more like me. Education, observation, conversation. So that's why I'm glad we're talking today, because sometimes we are one conversation away from an amazing change. So what if this is the conversation for somebody to hear, that boom, they get an amazing change. So conversations have changed my life. Getting to talk to the Vidal Sassoons, the Quincy Jones, the Jack Lemmons, the Walter Matthau's. I got to hang with all these older Beverly Hills guys, right? That taught me so much about life.
That is, I love that. And that, it's like you hit on all the points. That's why I was telling people before you got on here, I said, hey, Tim has been on many stages. He's talked to many people. You know, I was shooting my shot being like, hey, I would love for you to come on my show and deliver value. And those 3 points that you just hit, and especially the conversation pieces, you never know when you show up authentically being like, hey, I just want to be able to give back to other people. And I know you do that all the time. And for us to be able to have this conversation, that's exactly why I created this show. It's like there's probably people that I have that I'm following me, excuse me, that are now listening to you that are going to get a revelation, and that's going to open the door to a whole new just slew of possibilities, right? And that's what I love, is because there's so many great uses like this on social media, so many just wisdom nuggets that are dropped, revelations that people are going to have when you choose to open up that conversation and go into the unknown. Like messaging Tim Storey. Who knows what's going to come from that? But I'm so grateful that you replied, and here we are. Because even I myself, I say this all the time selfishly, I get a lot out of these interviews when I'm interviewing these other people, when I'm really doing it for other people, but I'm going to get it too. And so I'm so grateful that you said that and that you really lead that, because you have been able to transform so many lives. And so I have to ask on that point is there a moment throughout your whole like life coaching, motivational speaking that you can think of being like, this was a game changer for me because of how much you've poured into other people? I always love hearing the moments that really just like, you remember that one.
Yeah, I would say no doubt about it. I think that one is like, you know, Oprah Winfrey is really my friend. Like, that's my sister. And we were in her backyard talking, and she was talking to me about just being okay to be Tim Storey. Like just be it all out. Just be it all out. And how she decided in her life just to be all the way Oprah. And she talked about in other interviews that when she first started in the news, because you were in the news, that she tried to talk like Barbara Walters, and that it just wasn't working because she was trying to talk like Barbara Walters. And so she's been an amazing friend. I'm in her last book. I'm in her last documentary. I get to do the Oprah cruises and tour with her, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But she really pushed me to just be okay with being uniquely myself. And, you know, I love that statement that, you know, you've been born an original, don't die a copy. So I would say Oprah Winfrey has really been cool to just like push me all the way out. And I'm way out there.
I love it. And then look what you've been able to create because of that. So that was such a nugget right there. Like, give yourself permission to be Tim Story, you know, Molly
Yeah.
Gomez, whoever it is out there. Like, be that person. And then you never know what you're going to be able to attract when you just said, hey, this is me. Take it or leave it. Like, this is what it is. Yeah, Samar said it really great. Be uniquely yourself. I love that. Tim, this has been absolutely amazing. I love it. And if there's any, while we're wrapping up here, is there anything else that is coming to mind you'd love to share? Any other extra nuggets you got in there, which I'm sure there are plenty, but anything that comes to mind that you can leave us with today?
I want to know what you're up to. Like, what project are you excited about for you? Like, you got a lot going on. Tell me one project you're excited about.
I feel, and I know we really align on this because we're both believers. One thing that God's really calling me into right now is there are so many people out there that have a voice and have a story. And when it comes to getting on video like this, they're just like, I am terrified. I don't know what to do. And I don't know how and who to talk to. And so being able to just come alongside those people that are just nervous, they don't know who to go to, and just be a person of integrity, somebody that just wants to really be in it with them and show them, hey, we're going to break down those walls and barriers to really be able to get your voice and your message, your purpose out there. Because a lot of people are doing it, and a lot of people who maybe aren't the best to be promoted, we'll just put it that way. But there's so many amazing people out there that are just looking for, like, how can I share? And they're just stuck up here. So how to break that. And God's really pushing me into that season of just growing that more and more. And I get excited because I tell people from news to now, I did that, you know, for stories I didn't really care about. It was always doom and gloom. I get to do that here on these lives with people who know how to talk in front of a camera. Now it's reaching the people that are like, I wish I can do that. What do I got to do to get there?
Okay, so the people that are watching that want to be connected to you for what you're doing, how do they connect with you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram all day long. So messaging me here. And I love how you flip that because I've never had anybody do that. So I appreciate it, definitely. But yeah, you can definitely message me here on Instagram. And I just really have a heart to help people, again, get that confidence on camera and speak to the people that they need to speak to on social media and have that strategy that's really going to just get your voice to those people. So yeah, you can go ahead and message me, Molly_Trotter here on Instagram.
It's so neat. And let me just say this last thing about what you're doing, how much I love it, is because I think a lot of people, they get an opportunity and then they freeze. It's almost like read the teleprompter the first time. Remember that?
Yep.
It's not easy. Even if you're a good reader, that teleprompter could jack you up.
Back in my day, I had a foot pedal, so I had to read foot pedal, and then if I went too fast, I had to figure out to go backwards while I'm reading still, and then put it in the right place. It was a mess. So yes, I know what you mean.
Yes. So coach with her so she could teach you how to on social media, but also on stage and just speaking. So thank you for having me on today.
Thank you. No, thank you. This has been an absolute joy and I appreciate it. So everybody, whether you follow me, follow Tim, click right here, right next to my head, Live with Tim Story. The drop-down menu will allow you to follow both of us. And Tim, I just appreciate just how you show up. Like how you show up and how you give here, Clubhouse, quite literally anywhere you go. You're just so selfless and you're such a servant leader. And I'm so grateful that we got to have this opportunity today. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. See you
You're
guys.
welcome. All right, you guys. See you next time. Bye.